Affairs and Internal Security, who made a statement on the alleged gold scandal at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport on 13th August 2023 and briefed the House on what transpired in the arrests made in relation to the scandal.
And another ministerial statement from the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security was on the riots that occurred in Mumba district on Wednesday, 13th September 2023, following the suspected ritual killings of 2 people in the district. The minister acquainted the House with what led to the riots and the measures that have been taken to restore order, the law and order.
Thereafter, the House went on to consider questions for oral answer number 24 to 30 under Standing Order 74. After that, there was resumption of debate on a motion of thanks, His Excellency the President's address, that the thanks of the Assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the President's address, a motion that was moved by Mwandi Member of Parliament, Ms. Sibeso Sefula, and seconded by Kafulafuta Member of Parliament, Mr. Jeffrey Mulewa. And so at the time business was interrupted on Friday, on the floor of the House was Zundazi Member of Parliament, Ms. Brenda Nyirenda, debating to this motion of thanks. And so Madam Speaker adjourned the House accordingly at 12:56 hours. And so that is basically business that was considered on the floor of the House on Friday, 15 September 2023. Just now we shift our attention and look at today's order paper.
Yes, Matimba, today's order paper, we have 5 questions that are expected to be considered on the floor of the House before the House continues to debate the presidential speech. And one of the questions actually is coming from Kanchivia Member of Parliament, Mr. Sande Chanda, and is expected to ask the Minister of Transport and Logistics what measures government is taking to ensure that the Great Lakes region becomes one of Zambia's major export markets. And the second part of the question, he wants to know how government intends to use Mpulungu Harbour as a gateway to the Great Lakes region. And the C part of the question, he wants to know whether government has any plans to create shorter routes from the Copper Belt and the northwestern provinces to Mpulungu Harbour to enable fast transportation of goods.
Another question will come from Chama North Member of Parliament, Mr. Yota Mutayatalo, and he's posing his question to the Minister of Health. He wants to find out a question in 2 parts. When the government will repair the CT scan machine at the University Teaching Hospital, which has not been working since August 2020, and in the second part of the question, he wants to find out what the cause of the delay in repairing the machine is.
And the question 33 is coming from Kawata Member of Parliament, Mr. Andrew Taengwa, and he wants to find out from the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security whether government has any plans to construct staff houses at the following police posts in Kawata parliamentary constituency. These are Maxwell Sivongo, Mary Mwango, Godfrey Mianda, and Lakson Mapushi. And the B part of the question, he wants to know if so, when the plans will be implemented.
Mandevu Member of Parliament to ask question number 34, and he's directing his question to the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts. He wants to find out a question in 3 parts, whether the government has any plans to construct a stadium in Mandevu parliamentary constituency, and in the B part of the question, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and in C, what the cost of the project is.
And question 35 on today's order paper is coming from Lufwanyama Member of Parliament, Mr. Kenisia Chisumo, and he wants to find out from the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. In the first part of the question, he wants to know whether government has any plans to tar Chief Nkana and Kejem roads. And just now, that is the Speaker's procession making its way into the House just before the beginning of business for today, Tuesday, 19th September 2023. We cross to the floor of the House. Good afternoon.
And sing of Zambia, proud and free. Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, order. I have two announcements. The first one is that, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians, CWP, Africa Region, which is an organ of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, with the objective of promoting gender equality and equity in the work of the CPA, as a steering committee which consists of the chairperson, vice chairperson, and 4 sub-regional representatives, one from each of the 4 sub-regions, namely Central, East, West, and Southern Africa. At the end of the 85th CPA Africa Region Executive Committee meeting, held in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, from the 2nd to the 7th of August, 2023, 3 positions of CWP Africa Region fell vacant. The vacancies are as follows: 1, chairperson; 2, vice chairperson; 3, Central Africa CWP sub-regional representative. In line with the leadership rotation roster adopted by the CWP, the above positions will be distributed as follows. A, the position of chairperson has rotated to East African sub-region. The position of vice chairperson has rotated to the Central Africa sub-region. And the position of CWP Central Africa sub-regional representative has rotated to Zambia. In this regard, the CPA Zambia Branch Executive Committee held a meeting on Wednesday, 6 September 2023, and resolved to nominate Ms. Imelda Munashabantu, Member of Parliament for Mapatizia, as CWP Central Africa Sub-Regional Representative for the period 2023 to 2026. Ms. Munashabantu MP will be unveiled at the business meeting of the CWP Africa Region to be held virtually tomorrow, Wednesday, 20th September 2023 at 10 hours. I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate Ms. Munashabantu MP for her well-deserved nomination. I further wish to urge all female members of Parliament to attend and participate in this very important meeting tomorrow. The notice of the meeting and the login credentials have already been circulated to all female members of Parliament. I thank you. The second announcement, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 166.5, I have made the following adjustments to the composition of committees. 1, Public Accounts Committee. Mr. Lakson M. Lungu MP to replace Mr. George Chisanga MP. 2, 2, Committee on Delegated Legislation. Reverend Given Katuta, MP, to replace Ms. Munashabantu, MP. 3, Committee on Media, Information and Communication Technologies. Mr. Elias Daka, MP, to replace Mr. Mishek Nyambose, MP. Committee on Education, Science and Technology. Mr. George Chisanga, MP, to replace Mr. Lakson M. Lungu, MP. Mr. Payuvuma Kalovo, MP, to replace Mr. Davis Chisopa, MP. Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services. Mrs. Marjorie Nakaponda, MP, to replace Mr. Sila E. Lungu, MP. Committee on Local Governance, Housing and Chiefs Affairs. Mr. George K. Kandafula, MP, to replace Mr. J. E. Banda, MP. Ms. Imelda Munashabantu, MP, to replace Reverend Given Katuta, MP. Committee on Cabinet Affairs. Mr. Newton Samakai, MP, to replace Mr. Dairas Mulunda, MP. Mr. Peter Piri, MP, to replace Mr. Christopher Shakafuswa, MP. Committee on Transport, Works and Supply. Mr. Sila E. Lungu, MP, to replace Ms. Marjorie Nakaponda, MP. Mr. Joel Chibuye, MP, to replace Mr. Elliot Kamondo, MP. Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Affairs. Mr. J. E. Banda, MP, to replace Mr. George K. Kandafula, MP. Mr. George Chisanga, MP, to replace Mr. Lakson M. Lungu. Committee on National Guidance and Gender Matters. Mr. Muto Twekafwaya, MP, to replace Mr. Emmanuel Banda, MP. 11, Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs. Mrs. Chrysosta Halwindi, MP, to replace Mr. Mishek Mutelo, MP. I thank you. Matters of urgent public importance. There are 2 indications. We start with the Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to raise the matter of urgent public importance, Madam Speaker. And before I go on, Madam Speaker, let me congratulate the people who carried the day on the awards. And thank you for the management to bring the awards to show that, to motivate the people. And indeed, those people who just do maiden speech, it has been motivated that if you want to get an award, it's just to do a maiden speech. Thank you.
Honorable Member, can we have a matter of urgent public importance? That is now water under the bridge.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the matter is directed to Her Honor the Vice President. Madam Speaker, in Petauke Central Constituency, my people have been struggling to have 3 meals a day. And in Eastern Province, especially in the areas of the valley.
Honorable Member for Petauke, you know how to raise a matter of urgent public importance. Go to the matters. Don't debate. What is the matter that you want to raise?
Yes, the matter is directed to Her Honor the Vice President, Madam Speaker, about the...
I've gotten that, but what is the gist of the matter that you want to raise?
Yeah, the people of Petauke Central Constituency and Eastern and Zambia at large, they are asking the new Dawn government to provide Her Honor the through Her Honor the Vice President to give relief food to the people of Petauke because they are struggling, they don't have food. So they are asking government so that at least they can have food on the table, Madam Speaker. And we don't have ZNS, at least other areas, they have got ZNS.
Honorable Member for Petauke Central, I've taken note. Please put in a question addressed to Her Honor the Vice President. Question for oral answer under Standing Order 74. The next one, the Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter of urgent public importance directed at the Minister of Agriculture. Madam Speaker, farmers in my constituency are very worried. Madam Speaker, our district commissioner in the district is making pronouncements that there is an additional requirement besides those that farmers know to participate in the FISIP program. Madam Speaker, they are being told that they need to provide a proof of sale of any crop to FRA in form of a receipt for them to qualify to participate in this FISIP program for 2023-2024. Madam Speaker, if this is not handled properly, this might cause food insecurity in my constituency and as a country at large. Madam Speaker, is the minister in order to keep quiet when farmers in my constituency expected him to have come before the floor of this House to state the exact position, the exact government position on this matter? Madam Speaker, I seek your serious indulgence on this matter. Thank you.
I believe sometime last week there was another matter that was raised on FISIP, whether FISIP is going to be maintained or it will be replaced by another facility. I had ordered the Honorable Minister to come back to the House with a ministerial statement. So as the Minister addresses that, I'm sure he can also address that. I don't know what day we had agreed on. Well, the ministerial statement is actually ready. It's today. Is it today? Oh, okay. Not today. I don't think so, because it's not on. It has to go through the processes of approval through Her Honor the Vice President as leader of government business. So can it be rendered tomorrow? So tomorrow the Honorable Minister will come back to the House and address that issue. The Honorable Member for Kasenengwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to raise on a matter of urgent public importance. Madam Speaker, this matter is directed at the Minister of Agriculture. He has become a very popular person in this House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the matter that I'm raising today is very serious. Very serious, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, at least you have an idea that the member speaking is a farmer. And I come from a rural constituency where people are predominantly farmers. There has been this tendency of cancellation of fertilizer tenders, which is causing a lot of panic in farmers. Last year, at a time when farmers were supposed to be receiving top dressing, they were receiving basal dressing. At a time when farmers were now worrying about their crop, that is when top dressing was being distributed.
The Honorable Member, go to your matter of urgent public importance. Do not debate.
My matter, Madam Speaker, I seek your serious indulgence. We need to be addressed by my elder brother there, my mentor, my neighbor in the constituency. What is happening with the procurement of fertilizer? Last year, we had the same problem until the single source.
Order.
Are we going to have the same problem this year around?
Order, Honorable Member. Since this issue of fertilizer has been ongoing, cancellation is not of recent occurrence. I advise that you put in a question address to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture. Thank you very much. Question for oral answer under Standing Order 74. The Honorable Member for Kanchibia.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Question number 31.
The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Indeed. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Kanchivia to ask the Minister of Transport and Logistics a three-part question, Madam Speaker. In A, what measures the government is taking to ensure that the Great Lakes region become one of Zambia's major export markets. In B, Madam Speaker, how the government intends to use Mpulungu Harbour as a gateway to the Great Lakes region. And lastly, Madam Speaker, in Part C, whether the government has any plans to create shorter routes from the Copperbelt and Northwestern provinces to Mpulungu Harbour to enable faster transportation of goods. In response to the question raised by the Honourable Member of Parliament for Kanchivia Parliamentary Constituency, Madam Speaker, I wish to inform this August House as follows. A, government has recognized the lucrative markets and trade opportunities in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which includes COMESA, SADC, and the Great Lakes region. These markets are great opportunities for Zambian goods. In order to enhance market access to the Great Lakes region, government is implementing the following measures. One, government has established strong bilateral relations with the countries in the Great Lakes region, including the republics of Burundi, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, South Sudan, and Rwanda. It is for this reason that the government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Ministry of Transport and Logistics, has written a letter of intent to join the Central Transport Corridor Agreement, which will be merged with the Dar es Salaam Corridor. Further, Zambia has signed a bilateral trade agreement with the DRC, which once operationalized will enhance trade between the two countries via the Great Lakes region. Number two, engagements with trading partners through the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry to eliminate existing barriers to trade using existing regional mechanisms such as the tripartite online non-tariff barriers elimination mechanism, as well as the use of the secretariats of regional economic communities. Number three, formalizing informal cross-border trade. Government, through the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, has set up a well-equipped trade information desk at the harbour to provide support services to small-scale cross-border traders to formalize informal trade, thereby ensuring that the country is able to increase her non-traditional exports to the Great Lakes region. Lastly, Madam Speaker, in Part 4, hosting of road shows and regional trade fairs to ensure market access for Zambian products and resources. The government is also facilitating and promoting business linkages and partnerships to increase trade and investment in the Great Lakes region. In Part B, Madam Speaker, in order to enhance the use of Mpulungu Harbour as a gateway to the Great Lakes region, government, through the Ministry of Transport and Logistics, has embarked on the modernization and expansion of the harbor. The modernization will include, among others, the expansion of the quay platform from 20 meters to 300 meters. This will reduce vessel delays being experienced and enhance the cargo handling capacity of the harbor from the current 200,000 metric tons to 1 million metric tons per annum. The expansion will include increased capacity for cargo storage, a container depot, and cargo handling facilities for loading and offloading ships efficiently. The feasibility study for the project, supported by the African Development Bank, has since been concluded, and government is mobilizing resources to modernize and expand the harbor. In sea, Madam Speaker, a shorter route to Mpulungu Harbor already exists via the Pedico Road through Mansa, Luwingu, Kasama, and Imbala. Due to the state of the road, government through the Road Development Agency has engaged a contractor to undertake rehabilitation of the last 11 kilometers of the Pedico Road, as well as undertake spot improvements works on the remaining 60 kilometers. Works on the Pedico Road commenced on 11th January 2023 and are expected to be completed by 10th October 2023. Progress of works on the projects are currently at 18% completion. Further, government is also undertaking pothole patching on the Kasama via Mbala to Mpulungu Road, whose works are currently at 90%, as well as on the Mansa to Chembe Road, Additionally, government plans to patch the potholes along the Kasama Luwingu Road, and works will resume once funds are made available. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Kanchivia.
Madam Speaker, I thank you, and allow me to thank the Honorable Minister for his response, which is quite thorough. My follow-up question, Honorable Minister, would be with regard to the letter of intent to join the Central Corridor Agreement. When do we see this particular, or when do we see our aspirations? Do we have any projection when we see fruition of these aspirations for us to join the Central Corridor Agreement, and in that regard, the benefits thereof to accrue to this country? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honorable Member for a brilliant follow-up question. Suffice to say that talks have really advanced. Not only is Zambia wishing to join this particular corridor, but the current members to the said corridor are equally pushing, realizing Zambia's very strategic geographic location. It is imperative that we become members as soon as possible. But for my busy schedule, having accompanied His Excellency the President on that very successful China state visit, by now progress would have already been made. At technical level, my permanent secretary has already been to comb out all the relevant issues that must be covered in this particular agreement. I do expect that soon rather than later, I shall be joining my counterparts, ministers of transport, who are members of this particular corridor for the signing ceremony. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Leader of Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, mine is on alternative policy. When you look at Mpulungu Harbor and indeed Lake Tanganyika, It provides a natural gateway to the Great Lakes. Previously, there was an expo in Northern Province. So some of the areas that were looked at was how industry can be created around Mpulungu Harbor. And one of the options was to look at improving the milling capabilities in Mpulungu, setting up industries, seeing that some of the products that were finding their way into the Great Lakes were mealie meal, flour, and the rest of it. As opposed to delivering them as finished products, the proposals were to set up milling industries within Mpulungu as a way of setting up jobs. So my question is, working together with the Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, and Ministry of Agriculture, is your ministry intending to continue looking at that option? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you to my brother, the leader of the opposition in this House, for that good question. Indeed, I wish to concur with the honorable member in his assertion as to what would be important in order for this country to maximize the Great Lakes potential in terms of using Lake Tanganyika as a gateway to the Great Lakes region. Perhaps, Madam Speaker, it's a question of what comes first. Is it the chicken or the egg? I think that, let me say, that as a new Dawn administration and being methodical, we do realize that perhaps it may be premature of the value addition industry chains that ought to be established. I think the issue of connectivity comes in front and center to be able to create the sort of logistics in terms of not only the road network, but also our future plans of connecting Mpulungu to our rail network, terminating from Tazara to Nseluka, at Nseluka onto Mpulungu. I think that that would be extremely important in order for us to be able to move the relevant materials that indeed may be completed in terms of finalization of value addition and readiness for export to the Great Lakes region. So it is indeed part of our grand scheme of things that this country, for once, will begin to do things that will be sustainable and have a greater impact on the general economic status of our country. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member of Kanchivia.
Madam Speaker, I thank you, and let me also thank the Leader of Opposition for his follow-up question. And maybe the question the Honorable Minister should be getting the chicken to exist alongside the egg. Madam Speaker, my question to the Honorable Minister, in his response, he spoke to the improvement in terms of infrastructure and the logistics of maritime trade on Lake Tanganyika, which includes, Mpulungu Harbor, the modernization of the harbor. What is the cost of this particular modernization project? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you to the honorable member for that question. The modernization and expansion of Mpulungu Harbor is estimated at $72 million United States dollars. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, take cognizance that the Minister indicates that the government appreciates the export market and its potential in the Great Lakes region, and all this investment, and of course, taking into consideration that he has mentioned that the government is methodical. Have you itemized, or have you taken into consideration what products will be exported, products and services that will be exported to the Great Lakes region? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you to the honorable member for Feira, who is a brother and indeed a friend I think, like I've stated earlier, mine is to ensure that the connectivity aspects are catered for, that as a country, it is a pity that for so many years, we do not even have a vessel to talk about in terms of having the potential to ferry sufficient tonnages of our cargo across to the Great Lakes region. It is even more sad that countries which not long ago were on Zambia's back foot today have taken, front and center stage. Countries such as our friendly neighbor of Tanzania are building a massive ship about to be launched on that particular water body. And I think that it is important that more haste, less speed. We are, as a government, New Dawn administration, we're going to ensure that we put our house in order. As to what sort of goods we'll be looking at, the Honourable Member, Madam Speaker, I'm sure can put in a question to the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, and that he shall be availed with the necessary details. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. We need to make progress. 3 people have indicated. I will allow them, but please be precise to the point. The Honourable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, I appreciate your responses. I had an interaction with the management at the port there in Mpulungu. One of the issues that they raised was about the archaic laws governing the port and operation compared to the way we have Tanzania Ports Authority. Has the government got any intention to repeal the archaic laws governing the operation of Mpulungu so that we have efficiency delivery of the services that you have itemized? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member for Solwezi. I want to state categorically, without fear of contradiction, as the Honourable Member for Home Affairs would say, that yes, this is part of what the President has said, that time has come for us to identify any rigidities that stand in the way of development in this country. And yes, we shall look at the relevant laws and ensure that they are streamlined with modern trends so that the maritime as a subsector is allowed to flourish. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kankoyo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister of Transport and Communication for having indicated that the works on the Pedicle Road are at 80% for completion. But Madam Speaker, I want to find out from the Minister what measures the government has put in place to ensure that the works which are being done on this road will last long, because in the past we've seen this road being maintained every year, huge money being spent on the road, but the people of Mufre and Kankoyo don't get the value for their money. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member. I think that the Honourable Member must draw some comfort with the pronouncement that this New Dawn administration has already made on these issues affecting not only the cost of projects, but also the quality and the timely delivery of such projects. We, as a New Dawn administration, would obviously not want to fall into what the Latin maxim says, incipit in fovium confecit. We do not want to fall into the same trap like our colleagues did. We shall do everything possible to go out of our way and ensure that these projects are going to last for a long time so that Zambia, with its meager resources, does not keep pouring these resources into a bottomless pit. So please rest assured that through the Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, they are taking these matters very seriously to ensure that we supervise to deliver projects to the right spec. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The last question will be from the Honourable Member for Lubasenche.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given to the people of Ruansesh constituency to ask a follow-up question. Honorable Minister, in achieving the expectation of products and services at Mprung Harbour definitely cannot be achieved if Cassava Bay is not incorporated in the model. My question to you, Honorable Minister, what measures are you putting in place to ensure that Cassava Bay contribute to the growth of and exportation of products and services at Mprung Harbour? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm sure the honorable member is fully aware about some of the interventions that this new Dawn administration is taking insofar as bringing back Cassava Bay to a position in that region as to what it ought to do, not only in the promotion of tourism in what we're calling the northern circuit, but we also intend to put up, as you may have already seen, that we've advertised for consultancy services on the development of a truly, good airport in that area, which will play its meaningful role for those that may not want to use the road. As you know, that there is a fund of $100 million that this government has already been bequeathed with, that will go a long way in improving the infrastructure, particularly in roads, but that we intend to put up an airport quite different from what was there before, so that we can meet that particular requirement of how Cassava Bay must also play its part in development. Madam Speaker, share. Indeed.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 32.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Chama North, Honorable Mutaya Chalo, wishes to ask the Minister of Health the following two questions. A, when government will repair the CT scan at the University Teaching Hospital in Lusaka that has not been in operations since August 2020. And the B, what the cause of the delay in repairing the CT scan is. The response of government is as follows, Madam Speaker. A, government will repair the computed topography, which is CT scan, at the University Teaching Hospital this year, 2023. The House may wish to note that the manufacturer's authorized distributor, who are TechMed Africa, has already done the preliminary needs assessment for the repairs needed. Answer to question B, Madam Speaker, is the House may wish to note that the delay in repairing the CT scan at the University Teaching Hospital was due to inadequate funds allocated for procurement, maintenance, and the servicing of medical equipment in the 2020 and the 2021 financial year. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Acting Minister for Health. Honorable Minister, health issues are very, very delicate. Are you aware that the patients at UTH, actually, they are going to cancer disease center there, and it's only those on INIMA and emergency cases, but these other poor people having very serious difficulties. So are you aware that we are losing lives as a result of the delay in ensuring that this CT scan is repaired at the UTH? Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, I thank the Honorable
member for Chairman North for the follow-up question. Government is indeed aware of the need to have all equipment operational in order to save our people in as far as health matters are concerned. It is for this reason, Madam Speaker, that in my answer I have stated that the CT scan at University Teaching Hospital will, in this year, be repaired, having recognized that from the year 2020 and the 2021 financial years, there was no allocation of resources for the repair of equipment. So this government has recognized that fact and has allocated resources to ensure that this situation is corrected. As a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, government has increased budgetary provisions for procurement and servicing of medical equipment in 2022 and 2023. That is from 196,228,890 kwacha and 900 million kwacha respectively, compared to 14.590 million kwacha for 2020 and almost nothing in 2021. These substantial increases in budgetary allocations does indeed speak to the fact that the government has recognized the need to have this equipment repaired. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chairman North, do you have any other question?
Yeah, the question, Madam Speaker, since the Minister is saying that due to budget constraints, that there was no allocation, would you be in position, Minister, to know the cost of this CT scan? Thank you.
I thought the Minister was, anyway, the Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, I think it's important to state that in terms of the costs of CT scans have been taken into account. What we are talking about here is the repair. But if the Honorable Member now wants to know what we are doing with respect to new CT scans, we state as follows. Government working with partners, that is the World Bank and the Global Fund for Women, Children and Adolescents, through the Zambia COVID-19 Emergency Response and the Health Systems Procedures Project, 2 CT scanners, one for UTH, University Teaching Hospital, that's the old adult hospital, and the second one for Levi Mwanawasa University Teaching Hospital will be delivered and installed by December 2023. The non-functional CT scan machine at UTH will be repaired. So by the end of this year, we will have 2 brand new CT scans, one at UTH and the other one at Levi Mwanawasa. And the one that is not functional will be repaired. He's asking specifically about the cost. I don't have that particular figure, but suffice to say, the fact that we are going to have them delivered and repaired is indicative of the fact that adequate provision has been made for the purchase of the 2 pieces and the repair of the non-functional CT scan at UTH. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The question is specific, one item. When is the CT scan going to be repaired? 2023. Funds have been made available. So let's make progress. It was a specific question. Next question, the Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 33.
The Honorable Acting Minister, no. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament
Andrew Tayengwa, Member of Parliament for Kawata constituency, ask the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security the following questions. A, whether the government has any plans to construct staff houses at the following police posts in Kawata parliamentary constituency. 1, Maxwell Swongo. 2, Mary Mwango. 3, Godfrey Mianda. And 4, Laxon Mapush. And B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Our response, Madam Speaker. In responding to the questions asked by the Honourable Member of Parliament, I wish to inform the House as follows. A, government has plans to provide the housing infrastructure for all police officers across the country, including for police officers under the underlisted police posts, namely Maxwell Swongo, Mary Mwango, Godfrey Mianda. Government intends to build housing units in accordance with the available land at the police posts as follows. Maxwell Swongo Police Post. Maxwell Swongo Police has a total strength of 23 police officers, and the available space can only accommodate 10 houses. 2, Mary Mwango Police Post. The police post has a total strength of 20 police officers, and the available space can only accommodate 5 houses. 3, Godfrey Mianda Police Post. The police has a total strength of 33 officers. The available space can only accommodate about 4 houses. 4, Laxon Mapush Police Post. The police has a total strength of 12 police officers and has no housing units. The building belongs to Kamwala South Secondary School and was built as a storeroom during the construction of the school. Government has no immediate plans to construct houses since the land belongs to the school. However, the Ministry of Education will begin to look at the possibility of building an appropriate structure and the housing units to enhance security in the area. B, implementation of the plans at the 3 police posts will be done when funds are made available. The Constituency Development Committee in Kawata Parliamentary Constituency is being engaged to consider the provision of funds for the construction of police houses at the 3 police posts. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, the Honourable Member for Kawata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, now that you've stated that government has got actual intentions of building staff police houses, I wanted to find out. You see, in the past, we saw that some of these parcels of land were either invaded by cadres and they ended up putting up some illegal structure. Now, I want to find out whether your ministry has got any intentions of starting the process of acquiring title deeds for the said police posts.
The Honourable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you may recall that the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, directed all public institutions to ensure that land that belongs to government is protected and that title deeds for all those infrastructure is given. I would like to confirm, Madam Speaker, arising from the directive, that we are in the process working together with the Ministry of Lands to acquire title deeds for all our infrastructure.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for calling the people of Feira to do a clarification, to seek a clarification from the Minister. Minister, I take note of your response where you mentioned CDF as an opportunity to build. For instance, in Feira, we have land for 12 police houses. And I'm aware that for community projects for 1 year, that would not be enough. Is it, well, the clarification I want, Is government willing to continue from the Ministry of Home Affairs to build these houses, or CDF still remains an option? I really just want the clarity. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, as I indicated, CDF is merely an option in the event that we take long to source funds to build on behalf of the mainline government ministry. We are in the process of negotiations pertaining to the contract that is still existing, pertaining to infrastructure for security wings. Once that is resolved, the process of construction will commence.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, just to confirm that we're actually putting up a structure, a police post at Laxon Mapushi police post, so we will no longer be using that infrastructure that you've talked about. However, my question is, I wanted to find out whether your ministry is in a position of sharing the design for the staff houses so that you can share them with the local authority in case we want to use CDF.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I can confirm that my ministry has prototype diagrams for the police houses, not just police houses, but police posts and police stations.
Thank you. We make progress. Honorable Member for Chairman South, you've just come in and you are making some noise. I believe you have a suitcase full of dollars from China. The next question, the Honorable Member for Mandevu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the youths of Mandevu constituency, I would like to ask question number 34.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Member of Parliament for Mandevu wishes to ask the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts the following questions. A, whether the government has any plans to construct a stadium in Mandevu. In B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and in C, what the cost of the project is. Madam Speaker, the area Member of Parliament for Mandevu may wish to note that the Minister has no plans to construct a stadium in Mandevu constituency. And in this regard, attention is being brought to the Honorable Member of Parliament for Mandevu regarding the already existing ultra-modern stadium, which is just opposite Mandevu constituency. And it is called National Heroes Stadium. We also have the Independence Stadium, and we also have the Olympic Youth Development Center, OIDC, which is also opposite Mandevu constituency. Because they are in proximity to Mandevu constituency, and as such, people of Mandevu constituency can utilize these facilities to undertake various sporting activities. In B, the ministry, as I said, has no plans to construct a stadium in Mandevu constituency. Hence, this project will not be implemented. And in C, the ministry has not costed that project because we don't have plans to construct one. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member. Sorry, supplementary questions, sorry. Supplementary questions, Honorable Member for Mandevu.
Madam Speaker, uh, in Lusaka district, all the 7 constituencies, oh, out of the 7 constituencies of Lusaka district, only Mandevu and Kanyama do not have stadia. And these are the 2 biggest constituencies by population in Zambia. And it is a disservice to the youths of Mandevu to get such an answer from the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports. Because Mandevu constituency, yes, may start on the western side, neighboring with Hero Stadium, but we go up to Ngombe and border with Munali. So it is not fair that our youths from Ngombe would walk up to the way, up to Hero Stadium. I ask this question because sports is developing, Madam Speaker, and as you may be aware, even the 2 stadia have been voted to host international games because of technological advancement. So the question is, are we, Honorable Minister, now that I've indicated that all the other constituencies have got stadia, are we going to see a deliberate policy to build sports infrastructure in terms of a stadium for the people of Mandevu who are 464,000? I thank you, Madam Speaker. Otherwise, you just remember us in 2026. I thank you.
I even wanted to say the Honorable Member for Mandevu is speaking as a striker until he said that now I don't know what he wants to strike at. The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member for Mandevu, especially that we'll be remembering you in 2026. Indeed we will. But I want also to state, Madam Speaker, that Honorable Member should not mislead the nation by saying every constituency has a stadium. That is a very misleading statement. Because where I'm coming from, in Kaputa, go to Mporokoso, go to Isoka, Shwangandu, there is no stadium that we can write home about. So that I thought was very misleading. Maybe I will give him a little bit of comfort, and also to indicate that he needs to know his constituents properly, because Olympic Africa sports facilities are domiciled in Mandevu constituency. And I will repeat, the Olympic Africa sports facility is currently in Mandevu constituency. In there, they are playing volleyball, playing basketball, football, netball, tennis. But I do understand that maybe he's looking for an ultra or, no, or maybe a multi-sports facility. But otherwise, a stadium is there. You just need to make sure that we improve on that particular facility. Madam Speaker, let me take this opportunity to indicate that maybe it could be a call for every member of parliament to also have a stadium in our respective constituencies. So I want to appeal to members of parliament, especially when you will be debating the budget, that we need to apportion some funds. The way the Minister of Minister of Education, Minister of Health, Home Affairs are doing using CDF. We can also do the same as a Minister of Sport by encouraging members of parliament to apportion some funds so that we put up infrastructure in our respective constituencies. I will not be committing government in this house to say we are going to put up stadia in every constituency. We may not have that capacity, we may not have the resources. But I'm happy, Madam Speaker, that there are some members of parliament who have approached me that they want to put up these simple stadiums using CDF. So what we've done, we have come up with a prototype. So those that want to put up such stadiums, you are at liberty to visit our offices. We'll give you that prototype so that we can consider in 2024 putting up such facilities. I believe, and I want to also agree with you, that sport now, we are not looking at it as New Dawn administration as just mere entertainment. Indeed, it's a vehicle that we may use to alleviate poverty amongst the young people and also create employment opportunities for young people. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. But please, as you do that, don't forget the constituency offices. Those are a priority as you build your stadium. The Honorable Member for Kabushi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for according me this opportunity. Mandevu constituency in nature is more like Kabushi constituency. If you were following in 2021, there was too much violence in Mandevu constituency, equally in Kabushi constituency. Madam Speaker, I know
Order, Honorable Member for Kabushi. This is a constituency-based question. I know you want to bring in Kabushi, but we have core business, order of the day, which we need to get to quickly. So I'll ask, please, let's not stretch the question. The Honorable Member for Mandevu can ask his second question.
Madam Speaker, I think this one is just an appeal to the Honorable Minister of Sports, who has been good in terms of giving us jerseys. But we still need a pitch. The Olympic Africa that you mentioned is where I was declared as winner of Mandevu constituency as Member of Parliament. So I know it very well. Even the pitch has got stones and sand. And for me to ask, I just urge your office to consider us, because in Lusaka district, having worked as councillor and deputy mayor, I know that deliberately there was stadia that was built around the city, apart from Kanyama and Mandevu. Hence, I asked you that question. So I just appeal that may you consider the people of Mandevu as you look at infrastructure development in the country. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. It was a comment. Let's hear from the Honorable Member for Vubwi. We haven't heard from him for some time.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker, for the chance given to the good people of Vubwi. I think taking advantage of this same question, like the ministers alluded to, there is need for such facilities almost in all the constituencies. Now, I just want to find out, maybe from the research, how much has been suggested or to construct such a thing in some of these constituencies. I submit. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports and Art.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member for Vubwi. And that is a very, very important question. In fact, Madam Speaker, I was even discussing with also Honorable Member for Kawata over the issues of costings. We are about to finish the costings, and I'll be able to revert back to members of Parliament. And I would want to suggest, Madam Speaker, that some of these questions, they can even ask us ministers, even in our office, will be able to provide the answers, unlike bringing them here. Because when we commit Mandevu, obviously, VUB will also come on board and say, what about us? So some of these questions, please, members of Parliament, try to visit our offices. We'll be able to have a chat. I want also to maybe add that the National Olympic Committee came also to ask for the same honorable member of what you are talking about. So we have agreed on something. So maybe you can also visit. That's the honorable member for Mandevu. Please visit our offices. Maybe we'll be able to
chart the way forward.
Thank you. So, honorable members, please do visit the office of the Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts to go and have clarity on this issue. So we make progress. Next question, the honorable member for Lufanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, to give us an opportunity to ask question 35 as Lufanyama.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Fanyama, Honorable Siachusumo, is asking the Ministry following three questions. A, whether government has any plans to tar the Chief Nkana Kajem Road in Rufanyama district. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, if there's no such plans, why? We answer as follows, Madam Speaker. A, the government has plans to upgrade to bituminous standard the Chief Nkana Kajem Road in Rufanyama district. B, the tarring of the road will be undertaken when the Treasury sources the required funding. And C, as indicated at A above, government has plans to upgrade the road to bituminous standard. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Lufanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister of Infrastructure, for those good answers which you have given. And I'm sure you are very much aware because you visited Rufanyama some few months ago. And as you have said, as soon as funds are found, Rufanyama is one of the richest districts but the poorest, which has been neglected by successful government. When do you estimate, Minister, when the funds can be found by the Minister of Finance? Because you can maybe estimate 2024, 2025. When do you think, Minister, the money will be found? Thank you so much.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member for the follow-up question. Personally, I know this area extremely well because for many years I was a resident of Kalulushi, which is a town near this place. Maybe just for comfort, the Chief Nkana to Kajem Mine Road, which is about 40 kilometers, government does understand that it's an important economic road in the area and the district as it leads to the Kajem Emerald Mine and the Grizzly Mine Limited, and it connects communities involved in agricultural production in the area. Government will indeed consider incorporating studies and detailed designs in the future road sector annual work plans to determine the cost estimates of upgrading the road to bituminous standard. Thereafter, required resources will be allocated to the project. However, I think the Honourable Member wants to know what is happening as of now with regard to that road. We have two mining firms which I've mentioned above, which is Kajem and the Grizzly Mining. These firms often keep the road in a motorable condition using corporate social responsibility. The interim measure helps to keep the road motorable throughout the year. But for more permanent rehabilitation and upgrade to bituminous standard, that has to wait until we have made plans in our annual work plans. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Rufanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for those good answers. I want to appreciate for you mentioning Grizzly and Kajam. Is the government having any plans because you have mentioned to say as soon as the money is found. Because these three companies, you can talk about Chibruma mine, which is mining copper, uses the same load. Grizzly also uses the same load, and Kajam, and many other small companies which are there. Is your ministry, minister, not thinking of maybe putting the money together with the government and tar that road? Because that road passes through villages and it leaves dust to the people. As you are very much aware, Chief Nkana, the palace is just nearby, and that's where the road is passing through. And it leaves dust, and the people of Rufanyama feel they have been neglected by the previous governments, but not with the new Dawn government minister. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me assure the Honorable Member for Ufanyama that the new Dawn government has not and has no intention whatsoever to neglect the people of Lufanyama. In terms of infrastructure development, the Honorable Member knows that within Lufanyama constituency, we have very concrete plans, as he has already admitted. He visited the constituency and made certain pronouncements. Those pronouncements will be followed. He has to understand that the need is great within the constituency itself, because big as the constituency is, there has been no bituminous road, except of course the one from Karulushi going all the way to Alfanyama, but nothing into the hinterland. Government is fully aware of this, and we are doing everything possible to ensure that plans going forward include Lufanyama constituents as well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Two other members have indicated they want to ask. Please, let's stick to the question. It's a constituency-based question. There will be Honorable Member for Luvanseshi, followed by the Honorable Member for Ron. The Honorable Member for Luvanseshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister for Infrastructure, for the response. Now, I would like to find out from the Minister of Infrastructure, knowing fully that in July, your ministry publicized that 5,000 kilometers will be done in terms of feeder roads, and I believe that this road, Kalurushi Chifunkana, is one of the roads that I know that were submitted. Would you think that under that category, this road is going to be done? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, indeed, under the feeder road program, that can be done. But the question was specific to upgrading to bituminous standard, which requires another resource envelope other than that which is available in the feeder road program. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The last question will be from the Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, yes, we have lamented on the issue of resources, and the Honorable Member for Lufanyama has actually clearly indicated that this road leads to three major companies. Has your ministry or government been able to sit down with these three major companies and see how they can meet government halfway in ensuring that this road is upgraded to bituminous standards? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Member for Ron, Honorable Chibuye. Indeed, I mean, I have indicated in my answer that these two companies operating in the Emerald area are already involved in repair of this road, make it motorable. As to whether they can be involved in upgrading it to bituminous standard, 40 kilometers, Madam Speaker, even at our much reduced cost of doing tar roads or bituminous roads compared to what was prevailing before, would cost in the region of $20 million. That is a significant amount, and it would probably be unfair to expect private companies to put up that sort of money. This is the responsibility of government, and it has to wait until it is incorporated in our future annual work plans, which we have committed it will be. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
Thanks, His Excellency the President's address, motion of 13th September 2023, resumption of debate.
When business was interrupted on Friday, 15th September 2023, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Member for Mwandi that the thanks of this Assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the President's address. And the Honorable Member for Lundazi was just about to start debating. May the Honorable Member continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The people of Lundazi are grateful. Allow me this time to appreciate the leader of opposition. He's back in the House after such an accident. I would also want to wish Naomi, yes, well, he can be the chief whip, the government whip. Government whip, kwaba, don't worry, you know what I mean. It's good that you are back in the House, and I'd like to wish Naomi a quick healing. I would also want to wish Honorable Kalimi, who has been suffering since his accident, a quick recovery. In addition, let me also wish Honorable Chilangwa, who is still suffering in prison, some strength as he's undergoing what he's undergoing. This afternoon, the people of Lundazi are grateful that the speech which was given by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, really, it came out of duty. He had to come and give a speech. When I read the speech through, I saw that there is some acknowledgement on page 27. It says, government acknowledges that the supply of essential medicines and medical supplies in our health facilities has been inadequate. This is very serious. In other countries, this can call for a lot of changes. The fact that we have not had medicines in our hospitals needs a serious change in the procurement system. Maybe the system which was there was okay. And then the system which has come is failing us because for 2 years we've not had medicines and children are dying and we cannot continue on that trajectory. Madam Speaker, another thing that I would want to talk about is on page 14. To support investments and diversification, exploration, mining, and processing of minerals, our administration will embark on a national geological mapping. For how long is Zambia going to be mapped whilst our resources are being stolen? We cannot manage to have our mining.
Order, honorable members, there's just too much talking on my right. Can we listen to the honorable member for Lundazi?
We cannot afford, Madam Speaker, to have People in remote areas should be the one to identify that here there is God, here there is huge light. By the time we are knowing about it, people would have already taken advantage and they will have stolen, and at the end of the day, we don't know what they're going to map. Maybe at the end of the day, we'll find that mapping, they'll find that there's even nothing there. Madam Speaker, the issue of fertilizer I would want to talk about in my constituency is a disaster. We've been hearing different policy statements. The other minister comes to Lundazi, says no, it's going to continue. The FISIP is going to continue. Meanwhile, another minister is giving another policy direction. Madam Speaker, the people of Lundazi are farmers. And in fact, they feed the nation. We are worried if this trajectory is going to continue. Right now, as I'm speaking here, all our sheds in Lundazi, there is no maize. There is no maize in Lundazi right now as I'm talking. And what is obtaining is because of lack of clarity. You can't give this policy today, tomorrow you give another policy. There was a directive in the House here to say that as you are going, go and inform your people that they will no longer be on FISIP. By 2026, this will have ended. A change comes. They say that the issue of fertilizer, they will be giving loans. Honorable Madam Speaker, I would want to inform you that the issue of giving of 5 million loans, the people in Lundazi are rejecting. Why am I saying this? In Malawi, just across the border there, they can be able to buy the same inputs and it's only coming up to 4 million, 4,000. So then, why have we gone wrong? That us, we should be on the expensive side. And then our neighbors there, they are having their fertilizer being bought at a cheaper price. Madam Speaker, on the issue of health facilities, I've been on the floor of this House talking about the hospital in Lundazi. We have sat with the minister. We have sat even under with her honor the Vice President, pleading, may you please reopen the old hospital. We are not asking to build, just to reopen and just put in some furniture. Up to today, it has been falling on deaf ears. The people in Lundazi are concerned. And the president is saying we are making headways. There are no headways there. We are retrogressing because these issues which we are talking about are issues which are affecting my people and in my constituency. Honorable Minister, I would want to bring you to the issue of single sourcing. We cannot have the whole Tazama pipeline being single sourced and being used by only one person. And yet, we are having all the oil companies in the country just looking and they are watching. And they can't even take care of the people whom they have employed. I would urge the president to take serious interest in the oil company and in the procurement of fertilizer, because that is where they have had a lot of issues. I would want the president to take keen interest in the Ministry of Agriculture, in the Ministry of Health, and in the Ministry of Mines. These three ministries, to say the least, are not doing any good to the country Zambia today. I'm trying to be factual. If he wants, he can call me. I can go and tell him, this one is doing this one is doing that, and this one is doing this. What we want is our nation to take off. The reason why people voted for change is because they wanted change. If we are not going to bring this change, it is us in Zambia who remain languishing. We cannot sit here and pretend all is well. We know that people are being rewarded for having been in prison, 6.4 million, and we just sit here and fold our arms. That is money that me, as a member of parliament, will stay in this house and will never get. But just a case, sitting in the prison for 5 months or so, you are awarded 6.4 million. And the budget is going to come here. You expect the people of Lundazi to support. They will not support that one. Why am I saying that? We need to be methodical, as you always talk about. I submit.
The time is up. Thank you. The leader of opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity for me to add my thoughts on the President's speech. Madam Speaker, as my other colleagues observed, we had two versions. There was one verbatim and, of course, one that came from Cabinet Office. So when I was comparing the two, I needed to find a midpoint. I was persuaded by one statement the President made, which is on page 1 of his speech. And it reads, "Our 2 years in office confirms to us that development is not a straightforward journey." I can't agree with the President more on this particular statement. Madam Speaker, development has to be structured. Development has got to be structured for it to have a meaningful impact. Under the PF government, we had what was called an multi-sector approach to development. It was called an integrated multi-sector approach to development. Madam Speaker, the reason why we are able to see a transformation, meaningful transformation of even far-flung areas like districts, it was because of this structured development, where you had communication towers. In those areas, you connected electricity, you did roads, you built schools. So, as opposed to what you may call a barter spread approach, where the meaningful impact is not felt, as a matter of alternative, this government must seriously relook at employing an integrated multi-sector approach so that we have impactful development going forward. Madam Speaker, I agree with the President when he says it's not a straightforward matter. I'll take you back, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Minister of Finance on this floor came and gave incentives to mining houses, mining companies. The intention was that they will ramp up production towards 3 million tons per year. But what has happened now? What has happened now is that there is a reduction in production. And yet the intention by Honorable Msokotwane, the Minister, was that by giving away those incentives, resulting in losses of up to 3 billion kwacha, we were going to incentivize the miners so that they ramp up production. So yes, to agree with the President, development may not be a straightforward journey. Madam Speaker, you look at, for instance, the much celebrated IMF. We celebrated the IMF program, and we continue to celebrate it. But little did we know that this program was going to result in some reduced support under the FISIP and other programs. It's not a coincidence that once we have the IMF program, we are now having all these problems with FISIP. We are having different statements coming from cabinet, where 2 cabinet ministers have 2 different positions. It's unheard of, Madam Speaker. So development is not a straightforward journey indeed, where the Minister of Agriculture says we are going to go the loan scheme way. Another minister from the same cabinet says, no, FISIP is there to stay. But this is consistent with the President's statement that development may not be a straightforward matter. I'll give you an example, Madam Speaker. You may have programs, for instance, a well-intended program to fight corruption, well-intended and spoken about. But programs of that nature are diluted by illegal mining, for instance, in KCM, companies like Sensele Mining, which nobody has been able to explain. Members of parliament go to KCM and they find illegal mining, huge operation. These are some of the things that dilute genuine efforts of fights against corruption. Your Honor, the Vice President. Development may not be a straightforward journey. I want to agree with the President. These are some of the issues that, some of the examples that I'm going to cite. Madam Speaker, for instance, you look at CDF. From afar, from a distance, it's a masterpiece. 28 million kwacha per year. And the plan is to give 7 million kwacha per quarter, so that committees are able to plan on how to disburse and come up with development. But in quarter 3 of 2023, what has been disbursed is only 6 million kwacha. I agree with the President. Development is not a straightforward journey, after all. It's not a straightforward journey. Can you imagine what would have happened if with 28 million kwacha, every quarter you're given 7 million kwacha in your constituency? Can you imagine what would have happened? A lot would have happened in these constituencies. So part of the celebration that people have been embracing is actually not on the ground. It's actually a mirage. It would have happened. It can be realized. It can be done. But as the President said, development is not a straightforward journey. So I know that I'm speaking to somebody out there. We are all members of parliament, and these realities, affect all of us. Madam Speaker, the examples are many. For instance, the President spoke about Kasama Airport, a welcome development. I was once minister in Northern Province. The time I was living, it was at 85%. But you see, development is a continuous process. It doesn't matter whether it's 15% or 10%, the airport is not completed for tourism purposes. But instead of people focusing to see how Kasama Airport will complement the other bigger airports that were built earlier, people turn KK International Airport into a gold and dollar exchange center instead of using it for tourism. Development is not straightforward, Madam Speaker. It's not a straightforward journey indeed. No, the connection is that a facility like Lusaka International Airport should be used for tourism. You don't want to turn that big runway into a gold trade center. That's not the intention. I don't think that's the best way of using that airport. So I tend to agree that development may not be a straightforward matter. Madam Speaker, we have Kafue bulk water. Ordinarily, for urban areas, you expect with Kafue bulk water, areas like Mandevu, Chawam, all these to enjoy running water. But today we're celebrating boreholes. We're launching boreholes in those areas, even with Kafue bulk water. So development may not be a very straightforward matter after all. Madam Speaker, so generally, as we look at development, we must enlarge our thinking to try and find the line of best fit. We must find the line of best fit, Madam Speaker. We, for instance, have certain offices in the Constitution. These are watchdog institutions like Auditor General's Office. You find that many governments, instead of appreciating the works that the Auditor General Office does, people actually view it as an inconvenience. Because, see, the Auditor General's job is to express an opinion on how well you've managed resources. Now, the moment governments realize that even important ministries like Ministry of Agriculture.
Order, sorry, Honorable Leader of Opposition, for the interruption. There's an indication for a point of order. Honorable Member for Kabwe Central, what's the point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's not my wish to interrupt the debater, the Leader of Opposition. I'm sure this is the first point of order since I came into this Parliament, and I'm compelled and pursuant to Standing Orders 65. Is the member, the Leader of Opposition, in order, and even other debaters, to keep on saying that the CDF has not been dispersed for 2023? When When the guidelines 4.12 subsequent disbursement is saying you need to do a return of how you have dispersed your funds before other funds can be dispersed. Is it in order when the members have not submitted or council have not submitted how they have used their money? Thank you. I need your serious guidance, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Order, honorable members. I believe when the Honorable Minister for Local Government makes his response, he can address those issues. He can even name the constituencies that have not retired. It's very easy. So let the Honorable Leader of Opposition debate, and when responses are made, ministers will respond to that.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was talking about Auditor General. We've discovered that since development is not a straightforward journey, governments even become uncomfortable with the Auditor General's office, to the extent that when they're about to produce a report, the office is disbanded, so that a diluted report is brought to Parliament for members of Parliament to debate. This is to also confirm that development may not be a very straightforward journey after all. Yeah. Madam Speaker, that's been debated by my colleagues. When you look at Ministry of Health, it's now evident that when you're in government, you need to follow certain processes. We have seen how costly it has been to this country, where framework contracts were cancelled arbitrarily. 2 years later, we failed to recover. What is very sad about this particular point is that nobody has been courageous enough to try and evaluate the loss in terms of human life that has resulted due to this very bad decision. So we pray that going forward, we be a bit more prudent when we make decisions in critical ministries such as those. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mwembeji.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing the people of Mwembeshi to add a word to the presidential speech. Madam Speaker, I'll entitle my discourse, Insoni Ebuntu. Same is part of humanity. Madam Speaker, the President talked about restructuring the debt. When you look at that statement which he made, it was important that the debt be restructured, Madam Speaker, because some people who got money, who are so loud now talking today, did not use the money prudently. Yeah. This is a very small and simple, even in our homes, a very simple mathematics. You go and borrow money, euro bonds. Then where you put that money, you can't even tell where you put the money. Then you stand up and say, you are celebrating restructuring. Meanwhile, there's nothing which is happening. Let me say this, Madam Speaker. When the money was actually borrowed, while we are celebrating as UPND, the money was borrowed and there's nowhere to show where the money went. There's nowhere to show. They claimed roads in the northern side, roads in eastern province. There are no roads there. They said that they are going to do roads. When we were on the other side, they say, Tamuvo Tabuino. But I want to tell you, Madam Speaker, even in eastern province or northern province, people are crying. There are bad roads there. Where did the money go? Where did the money go? You see, when you want to borrow, you borrow money and put your money where that money is going to be produced and you are able to pay the debt. This restructuring, there is no one who is happy to go and start begging your friends that can you restructure my debt. We did that because the previous government were reckless. They got the money, where they took it we don't know. It has now forced us to go and start restructuring. So, Madam Speaker, we want to thank the President for what he has done. This is very serious. We are saying that as a government, when you borrow, it must be a lesson. What lessons do we learn? One lesson we should learn is that when you borrow money, don't borrow money for consumption. get that money for production so that you are able to pay the debt. These people, when they borrowed the money, they put the money in their pockets. And today, we are where we are now. I want to tell you, if you are crying about minimum, you are crying about peaceable. If you did not borrow that money and put it in your pockets, that money was going to be buying fertilizer here, and the minimum was going to be at a low price. It's because now you borrowed the money and put in your pockets, thieving around, Madam Speaker. One of the things which we are talking about, Mr. Speaker, here is that
the honorable member for Mpika. Please put down your notes. If you want to react, put down your note and you respond. Let him debate, just like I allowed the other members to debate. If you have any reaction, you want to retract, you want to rebut, make your note and rebut at the appropriate time. May the honorable member for Mwembeji continue.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if you realize that during the time of MMD, there was that hippie compression. The people gave us breathing space. But immediately the PF came in 2011, they started borrowing until again we ended up into a ditch where we are now. We are in this ditch because some people did not think, what are they going to do with the money which they are borrowing? And it costed us that we should go and start begging for people to restructure our debt. This is a very big lesson, even to us as UPND. We should never borrow for consumption. We should only borrow for production so that we are able to pay back the money of the people we owe the money. Madam Speaker, let me gallop now to the situation of mining and tourism. Madam Speaker, when you look at Kafue National Park, I wish the Minister of Tourism was here. Kafue National Park is like as big as a country in Europe. That whole national park, if you look at it, it has got minerals. We can't go and mine there because some people are trying to control us. There are some people from outside who are saying, no, you should not mine in the national parks. Why can't we sit down and look at this issue where, okay, part of Kafue National Park, let us reserve for people in terms of mining and agriculture, and leave the other part for what? For tourism. We cannot continue. You wait, you thieves. We cannot continue at the trajectory where people are saying only tourism, only tourism. You know that when the national parks were being created, the population for Zambia was almost 3 million. Now we are going into 18 million. And our farmers, like in Mwembeshi, there's no land to do the farming there. Why can't we degazette some of the areas and move animals somewhere? We can do farming, we can also do mining. I want to say that this issue of tourism and mining, we must bring a round table to discuss this issue properly. We cannot continue being controlled by some people saying, no, you can't mine here, you can't mine here, so that some people can live their life vicariously. They destroyed their own natural resources in their countries. Now they want to preserve ours here by saying we can't mine not even copper there and gold. What type of talking is that? Madam Speaker, this is a very serious issue. Madam Speaker, as I end, I know time is not a good ally. Let me talk about mining in Mwembeshi, Concora copper mines, under Vendetta. Madam Speaker, it's a very good achievement that Vendetta has been given back the mine. But I want to say, wait. Yes, they have been given back those mines. What I'm saying, Madam Speaker, is that there's a problem where these people, they have promised, in Nampundwe there, we have got a mine there. They promised to put money there for development. But immediately they came, they started selling the mining equipment as scrap. How can you give someone who comes all the way, maybe from India, to come and invest in Zambia? Instead of mining, they start selling scrap. What we are saying is that those people, we must actually warn them. I know as UPND we are serious people. We must warn them that they should not do what they did with these people, the PF. Where you are the people who made that thing. Madam Speaker, what I'm saying here is that this KCM, even when they have been given the right to mine, instead of mining, they ended up vandalizing the mine. What we are saying now is that This time when they have been given, we don't want a repeat of what happened. And I hope that if they repeat it, then they must go away. Because these PF, they went to bed with them that they could not even remind them. Madam Speaker, that is a very big and a dangerous statement to do in a country, because those people, they actually killed a lot of our people. They died. Madam Speaker, let me say that, in mining, if a mine like Nampundwe, they are operating, there are other people who are supposed to do some side works, like supplying nuts, supplying tires. We don't want to see a mine which is bringing all material from South Africa, from India, from where. We want our local suppliers to be given the time to supply the mines. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nyimba. I'm just balancing the debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me just add a few words on the speech of the President. My take, Madam Speaker, is on agriculture. I come from agriculture district, and looking at what the President said, that we have 300 million, they've given out 400 based tractor mechanization to different areas of Zambia. Madam Speaker, I get worried. We've been speaking about this $300 million since last year, that we're going to open up new farming blocks. We are going to rehabilitate the infrastructures in other farming blocks. Madam Speaker, up to date, I was expecting the President to tell us where we have spent this money, but the speech, Madam Speaker, was silent. And I'm so worried. Madam Speaker, the 300 million today, through you to the Minister of Agriculture and the Minister of Finance, this money, we have spoken about it so much. Why is it so difficult that we should start using this money to the first or to the odd farm blocks, farming schemes we have across this country? We rehabilitate the roads, we build irrigation infrastructure, we build dams in these areas, then we can start opening up new areas. Because, Madam Speaker, if we had to spend this money, should I say 300 million, just bring it down to 2 million per district, or 5 million per province, Madam Speaker, we are going to change, we'll take a good number of people out of the streets into farming. Madam Speaker, the farming, if you ask the MP from Mpongwe today, he will tell you that Mpongwe farms under Zambia employs more than some of the mines in this country. They do. Because these are infrastructure which takes a good number of people, any out of the streets, any qualification, Madam Speaker, it's needed in this kind of farming. Can we spend money? Let's not just be talking. Unless this money is not there, just figures which are bringing in Parliament and the money is not there. If the money is there, let's start using it now. 400 tractors distributed. Where, Madam Speaker? I come from a farming district. If they were distributed anywhere, would love to see how many were distributed in Eastern Province, how many were distributed in Nyimba. The speech is quite. So for me, these numbers, I intend to question them, because I can't see where we have tried to mechanize using a tractor-based mechanization. So for me, I don't, I'm not satisfied with these numbers. I think we need to look at the numbers and see to it that each and every district received what it deserves. The Ministry of Livestock, Madam Speaker, I agree with the President. The ministry is doing something, because we can see what is happening there. At the district level, we can see that the Ministry of Livestock is working. Whatever they are doing there, you can see and people are appreciating. That's what we need. People need to feel the ministry at the local, at the community levels. Madam Speaker, in addition to the Ministry of Water, I think this ministry, Madam Speaker, it's a very important ministry. Whatever we are doing out of CDF, it's not enough. we need to fund this ministry with substantial amount of money. I pray that Minister of Water, if you are going to come with half-baked budget here, better start working on it and see to it that you give us a responsible budget over your ministry. It's just important. In education, Madam Speaker, we are told 149 schools were done, meaning all those previous schools were done. Surprisingly, my Kacholola and Chiwale Secondary School were not touched. They are not completed school. The dormitories, the school walls are not done. The labs are not done. The school walls are not opened. The kids are there because we have to protect school. Then we are saying we have done all the old schools. What is happening? Is it that we are usually forgotten as a district, as a constituency in Zambia? This should come to an end. When you are building other districts, other provinces, see to it that, remember that there is a district called Nyimba on our map of Zambia. Madam Speaker, there is something which makes me very unpopular to people. It's a rule of law. Today, Madam Speaker, let me speak about this thing. It's very important, Madam Speaker. Rule of law today, Madam Speaker, may I tell your people, the people, Madam Speaker, on your right-hand side, there is no police service which has ever made a political party popular. These people you see seated here, they are one of them who use the police to intimidate you there. And where are they today? And you people are repeating the same. What are you doing about it? Police will never make you popular. It never made them popular. So do you think you are different from them? This is Zambia. You cannot use the police. The Minister of Home Affairs is a lawyer and he understands this. And he knows he's a son of a politician. He has been lining up and down defending people in UPND then. And you know how unpopular it made UPF. And that's where you are going. And you're allowing it to go like that. Can you tell those police officers to stop? The members of parliament here on opposition, Madam Speaker, they're even worried to speak. Because the following day, they will receive a... And Madam Speaker, let me say this. This is... Madam Speaker, let me talk about this.
Order, honorable members, let's listen in silence. But honorable member for Nyimba, as you debate, please try to be as factual as possible.
Madam Speaker, I'm very factual. If the evidence is needed, I'm ready to read on the floor, Madam, on the table, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my people here, especially us from Independent.
The honorable member for Chiengi, please. Do not debate while seated. Allow honorable member for Nyimba to debate his points. If you have your own points, Honorable member for Nyimba, can I just say something? Yes, ma'am. Order, honorable members. So, order. So please, honorable members, let's not debate while seated. As I earlier on guided, if you have a point to rebut, put it down. And as you debate, honorable members, also be factual. Honorable member for Nyimba, you may continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the fact is that these people are seated on your left because of police. And I don't want, God forbid, that you also follow the suit. Please, we need our 28.8 million, Madam Speaker, to keep on coming into our districts. So I want you to be there. So please don't force people to take you out of government. That's what it's an advice. You can take it or leave it. Madam Speaker, this government today, we've allowed, Madam Speaker, thank God the President said there's no cadreism in this country. Good. Madam Speaker, today, cadres are able to go and demolish somebody's house, sent by a minister, reported to police, police can't do anything, taken to court, the court can't do anything. We do a private prosecution. A private prosecutor, Madam Speaker, is stopped by the Director of Public Prosecution, and the minister is seated here. And the house is demolished in Indora. specifically in Dora Central. And that's not somebody's house. That's not somebody's house. It's my elder brother's
Order,
house.
your time
Here,
is up.
let me declare interest on that one. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I raise my case.
Thank you. Order. The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to debate on some of the projects highlighted from the speech of the President. Madam Speaker, may I appeal for the following capital projects, which are way beyond the CDF vote to be considered for either completion or upgrade. Madam Speaker, in the President's speech on page 24, paragraph 78, Madam Speaker, I quote, to line number 3 and the last line, to avoid compromising the quality of education, government has continued to increase learning spaces. The construction of 149 secondary schools across the country has since been completed, and all the schools are now operational. My last line, 61 secondary schools are at various levels of completion. Madam Speaker, in my constituents, I have Michael Chilufyasata Girls Boarding Secondary School. This school has stood for quite a long time. Madam Speaker, I'm appealing to the President through you to complete this school, Madam Speaker, because as I'm talking now, the girls are squatting at the Soccer Boys Secondary School. These girls are being pregnanted every day. Pregnancies are the order of the day, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm glad about 2 ministers came to this school. The Minister of Infrastructure and the Minister of Education. But up to now, nothing has been done, Madam Speaker. And here, they are saying they've completed secondary schools. Madam Speaker, do you want me to cry because of this situation? Madam Speaker, my pupils at Michael Chilufyasata are being bullied by the boys together with their teachers. They are telling them that they should go to their school, which is incomplete, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want these pupils to study in a conducive and secure environment, just like others do, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we've been talking about educating a girl child. They say in Bemba proverb that nga mwasambirisha omwana omwana kashininshi mwasambirisha ekyalo kyonse. When you educate a girl child, you educate the whole nation. But here we are, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you are a mother. Please tell the President that this school should be completed, Madam Speaker.
No, I've said let's allow the debates to flow. Let's allow the debates to flow.
Madam Speaker, I would like this school to be among the numbers to be completed this year. Or you... Madam Speaker, my heart bleeds. My heart bleeds, Madam Speaker, because these pupils are suffering. They don't have a place where they can do their prep, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the road infrastructure, on page 22, paragraph 72, Madam Speaker. I quote, "We have continued rehabilitating and maintaining rural roads across the country." And in other provinces, for example, Muchinga province. Madam Speaker, in Muchinga province, especially Isoka constituency, we've got Mbesuma Kasama Road, which connects 3 provinces. This road connects Muchinga province, Northern province, and Luapula province. Madam Speaker, this road is a death trap. The road is very bad, and the bridge, there's no bridge, Madam Speaker. Remember the beginning of this year, in January, Madam Speaker, I stood here on the floor in this August House. I talked about the crocodiles. I was almost eaten by a crocodile, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm appealing to the President through you, Madam Speaker, so that this road can be completed, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this road is also a road which has got economic activities, Madam Speaker. It also links to the nearby countries like Congo and Malawi, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there is another road in Isoka called Sansamwenje Kanyala Road. This road is very important, Madam Speaker, because it connects Isoka, it connects Zambia to Malawi, Madam Speaker, through Kanyala and Chitipa. Madam Speaker, if this road can be constructed, there can be very good trade link between Zambia and Malawi, Madam Speaker. And not only that, Madam Speaker, the farmers can transport their produce easily, Madam Speaker. Even the communities around this road, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I appeal to the Minister of Infrastructure to make sure that he completes this road, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there is another road, Isoka Mafinga Road, Madam Speaker. I'm happy this road, the constructor is on site. I'm just appealing to the contractor to make sure that he finishes this road before the rains began, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Your time is up. Can you wind up?
I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
You want me to cry?
It's not good for women to cry in public. The Honorable Member from Pongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice on the motion on the floor of the House on behalf of the people of Mpongwe. Since I'm coming from an agricultural constituency or district, I'll start with agriculture. I want to commend the President for delivering a categorically and honest speech. Madam Speaker, farming is a business. Since farming is a business, farmers need to make profits. We don't need as a country to have cheaper meal on top of the farmers who work hard. Madam Speaker, if it is a year where farmers are very happy, it's this year under the new Dawn government. Farmers are selling one bag of maize at 280 kwacha. This has made farmers, most of the farmers in Mpongwe, to buy fertilizer on cash basis. And this is commendable for the New Dawn government. Madam Speaker, the only way to have cheaper meal in the country is to increase production. We don't need to leave farming to the rural communities. Even those who live in urban areas, they need to engage in farming so that we improve production in the country, so that we add on export, on our traditional export, which is copper. We export maize, soybeans, and other crops. In that way, we are going to improve the economy of this country. By improving the economy of this country, we are going to have cheaper fertilizer, chemicals, and other farming inputs. In that way, the production of maize will increase, and we are going to have cheaper meal in the years to come. Madam Speaker, the government is working hard to improve agriculture. The introduction of loans, which is coming, I think this will make farmers to grow more maize and other crops. Madam Speaker, if the farmers produce more, we'll see more export in the country and the economy will be improved. Madam Speaker, this government is encouraging farmers to go into irrigation farming. I want to appeal to the Minister of Agriculture to engage commercial farmers in Mpongwe to also go into winter maize growing. In that way, we are going to see that the price of meal will reduce. And this will result into the improved economy of this country. Madam Speaker, this government is also encouraging farmers to diversify into livestock farming. Already the government is doing a lot into livestock farming by providing free vaccines for animal and livestock. Madam Speaker, the government is also pumping some money into farm block development. 300 million has been set aside to improve farming blocks. This also will improve our farming in our country. The next thing that I want to talk about is CDF. Madam Speaker, CDF is a game changer. Mpongwe, just for 2022, the projects that we have done in 2022 surpasses the projects which were done from 2011 to 2021. And this is commendable for this new Dawn government. Madam Speaker, under CDF, we are able to sponsor children to go and do skills development.
Order. As the time is 16:40, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
You are still watching Parliament television, and that was Mr. Gregory Ngowane, Member of Parliament for Mpongwe, who was adding his voice to the motion that is being discussed right now. That is the members are discussing the presidential address, so that the thanks of this House be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the presidential address that was rendered on the floor of the House on 8th September 2023, and the motion was moved by Cecilia Sosefulo, Member of Parliament for Mwandi. So the members of Parliament will continue after the break, and the House has since taken a 20 minutes health break.
Yes, and when business resumed at 14:30 hours, there were two announcements, and the House has so far considered 5 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74. And so far, that is business that has been considered on the floor of the House. And just now we take a break. Remember, business of the House will resume at 17 hours. Keep watching Parliament Television. Good afternoon.
This Wednesday at 8:35 hours, join Paul St. Ndovi on the SDGs and You radio and television program as it looks at SDG goal number 3, which is good health and well-being, and the strides that Zambia is making in achieving it. Follow us live on the National Assembly of Zambia Facebook page, YouTube and Twitter. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Madam Speaker, teachers are a critical component in the development of our nation. Thank you. Thank you. I want to ask this country, we must enjoy the work we do for the people. We must not be hate-driven. We must be love-driven. If the children sit on the desk instead of the floor, then you love the children. Madam Speaker, teachers are a critical component in the development of our nation. In this regard, government will this year again recruit 4,500 teachers to further reduce the teacher deficit in our schools across the country without segregation. Madam Speaker, to equip our children with lifelong and equitable quality education, government is placing equal emphasis on building practical skills, entrepreneurship, and qualifications required at the industry level, not just academic. I want to confess, Madam Speaker, we were running into a deficit with artisan skills. Now we have responded through CDF, and we're training at a local level skills, imparting them into our children. Outside of this house, talk to the SME minister, talk to the Minister of Technology and Science. You can have a better conversations. Enrollments in our skills training centers have increased for a deliberate reason due to the policy measures being implemented by this government. In 2022, 76,500 of our young people were enrolled in various fields in the TVETA institutions and youth resource centers. The number has risen. The number has risen just this part of the year, before we complete it, to 86,800. Out of those enrolled, Madam Speaker, in the skills development programs, about 47,000 have been sponsored. Madam Speaker, I need your protection from this side. Madam Speaker, I beg to move. Madam Speaker, I beg to move. About 47,000 of these have been sponsored at the local level across the country under the constituency